I'm a big fan of games that involve a long road trip, whether that's taking my Wizard Ball team on the road in Supergiant's Pyre, experiencing the outback on horseback in Red Dead Redemption 2, or seeing the world from the back of a chocobo in Final Fantasy VII. It's just a lot of fun to explore a wide world, to move from place to place with a sense of excitement and propulsion and purpose, to see the towns and meet the people and linger with a sunset and then hit the road again. But few games are about the kind of road trips that we take today, where you pack the car, you buy petrol and snacks, you plan your route and you hit the road. So I was super intrigued by Keep Driving. It's a road trip simulator through and through, where you choose one of 3 beat-up cars, pack your guitar and some beers, and then you hit the road to try and get to a music festival by the day it takes place. I think this game does a great job of summoning up that road trip feeling, so I hope you'll stick around for my review. If you enjoy the video, your likes are appreciated. You can subscribe to the channel for more like this, drop a comment to help other people find the video, and I'll tell you about the channel's Patreon at the end. And with that, let's buckle up and go. Keep Driving is a game by YCJY Games, which is a 2-person indie team. It's Steam only for now, and it's only $18, so it's a decent price, I think. There's quite a lot of gameplay here. It's a really interesting game that's ostensibly a pixel art road trip RPG, although it isn't probably what you think of when you hear that term. The devs describe it as a procedurally generated pixel art open world, but in this game you see a side-on view of your pixel art car, so it's really a different kind of open world than the ones that we're used to. At the start of the game you can choose from one of 3 cars. There's a pickup, there's a knackered old muscle car, or a family car. They're all very banged up, beaten up, my first car type of things, and I would say that there's a heavy dash of 90s nostalgia here in the models that you can pick. There are a couple of parts to the game. There is an overworld map where you choose your next destination and you can see what kind of amenities there are along the way. Each destination that you get to acts as a mini hub with a petrol station, maybe a job office, a convenience store to buy more food and supplies, mechanics who can upgrade your car, and that kind of thing. Imagine a version of Slay the Spire that's been completely reimagined so that rather than dungeon crawling, you're taking a road trip across the countryside with all of the hazards that entails. So you pick your car, you choose out a couple of facts about your character, you choose a few things to throw in the trunk, and then it's time to hit the road. And these sections where you're on the road are really fun. The car actually drives automatically in these sections, so you can just kind of sit back and enjoy the pixel art landscapes sliding by behind you. You can pick out some tunes. You start with only 1 CD, but you can buy them in different places around this world. There's quite a lot of music available. My favourite was the Crystal Boys, so that's what I'm using as the background music on this video. And as you're driving, you will come across a handful of encounters that occur between your destinations. These can vary from finding a weird cardboard box at the side of the road, to picking up a hitchhiker who will add some buffs and skills to your driver, to encounters that are a kind of combat but not really, whether it's being distracted by a rainbow or potholes or a storm or a traffic jam. These lead to a kind of turn-based combat with symbol matching mechanics. You have to try and clear a series of threats with your cards to try and match symbols with the symbols of the threats. If you succeed, you get away and you get some buffs like being inspired or feeling like the open road is calling you. And if you lose gas, you lose energy, and you get negative status effects like being tired or sleepy or ratty or whatever. These are easily cleared. You can sleep in your car or you can find a hotel, but each time you do that you're losing valuable time, and there is a calendar to this game. The music festival does happen on a set date, so you only have a set amount of time to get there. There are also various ways to pick up resources and collectibles of all kinds, whether it's different tyres and car parts that can improve your car's durability, whether it's flags and bobbleheads for luck or discounts at stores, or whether it's food and drink that can help clear status effects, like beer clearing sadness and making you happy, like coffee clearing tiredness and making you alert. And you really do have to stay on top of the status effects because they can make combat feel impossibly difficult, and once you get into a downward spiral, you're losing car durability, your driver is tired and has no energy, and accrues damage faster. And that's something to avoid, because if you run out of fuel, if you run out of energy for your driver, or if your car runs out of durability, all of those result in a roadside fail screen. And the threat of a true game over is real in this game, but there are some ways to continue. If you have money, you can call for a roadside rescue. If you've managed to find a gas can somewhere on the road, that acts as a kind of continue that will let you refuel and carry on. And at the start of the game, you have to select how good your relationship with your parents is, which I thought was kind of funny, but it becomes apparent because if all else fails, you can call your parents. Whether they take your call will decide on the choice that you have made. I think it's a really funny nuclear option. They'll transfer you some money to carry on, and as it flashes up on the screen at these times, keep driving. I will say that some of this doesn't feel great. Sometimes you feel like you just had terrible luck. Maybe you picked up a hitchhiker who gave you some negative effects. Maybe you didn't quite plan well and didn't have enough fuel. But I would say even in my first run, I was able to get my head around these systems and have an experience that felt true and unique. So even if you do get that genuine game over, which doesn't feel great, I mean, if you're really role-playing it, maybe it's just that fateful summer when your road trip went horribly, when the weather was against you and everything went wrong, when you ran out of gas and you just didn't get to the festival. And part of the beauty of this game is that it is genuinely procedurally generated, so you will never have the same journey twice. The map will look different, your encounters will come at different times, you'll get different outcomes and even different endings. I've played a couple of runs and they were really different. The first time I got a girl who was heading to the festival who was really into acid and just wanted to party. She left trash in the trunk, but she made me feel inspired. Another time I picked up an old hippie mountain climber who was just trying to get to the mountains. He wanted to get out into the trees, he wanted to get away from the city and that kind of thing, and it was really a very different experience. And a lot of roguelike type games claim that every run will be different, but it's really true in this case. And I will say that I think it's helped by the amount of mechanics that there are to learn. There are all kinds of different parts that you can get for your car, like a heater that will stop you from getting, the cold status effect. You can buy sunglasses that will stop you from being blinded by the bright sunlight. You can find different stuff to add to your car, like a shopping cart on the roof that will give you more storage space, or an energy drink paint job that will make your car into an eyesore, but you'll get money if you drive with that for a certain number of days from the advertising. So there really is quite a lot of variety here, and I haven't even mentioned a lot of it, like getting emergency calls from relatives and all kinds of other things that will drag you off course. There are several skill trees to do with your different abilities, like your driving, your temperament, that kind of thing. And some I haven't worked out, like different books that you can pick up from different shops and how they expand your character's mind. I'm still not sure what that's about really. So there's loads of mechanics here and it's a really fresh and interesting game. I really like this one. So let's round out the review with some upsides and downsides of Keep Driving. In the upsides, I want to start off with the vibes of the game. It's just a really vibey, atmospheric game. There's a really lovely mixture of old, worn cars. It has that teenage summer feeling with this great indie rock, shoegaze, psych soundtrack. And it has this bracing feeling, like a John Hughes movie excitement meets like the Richard Linklater Slacker vibe of just floating through the world. I really love the pixel art too, the mountains, the forest, the coastline. It changes all the time based on where you go on the map, and it really adds the feeling of a big country that you're driving through. You really do feel the call of the open road in this game, and that's really central to its appeal. And as well as that, there are a lot of genuinely interesting systems here. There are all kinds of encounters and status effects, different items that you can find that can help you in combat. I think 5 different skill trees and countless different hitchhikers that you can pick up as well. They've just packed a lot in here. You can even get out of the car and explore these little 4x4 mazes like a forest or an abandoned building and try and find extra resources. They packed in a lot, and I think that really helps out the game. As for the downside, I would say the UI is a little bit cluttered with lots of tiny little buttons and icons that you have to hover over. It didn't have controller support when I played it, so I had to use my controller as a mouse with the right stick for the cursor and the shoulder buttons as the click buttons, which really wasn't ideal. I hate playing that way, and so it's a big testament to the game that I was willing to do it for this one. I also don't think that the tutorialization is great. It runs you through some basics, but it leaves you to figure out a lot of stuff on your own, so whether you like doing that or not may impact your enjoyment of this one. And as I said at the outset, this is a 2-person studio, so there's a bit of rough in here with the smooth. It's very much an indie game, and I think you're going to have to, be at peace with that if you're going to enjoy the game. But all in all, if you're willing to figure out this game, if you're willing to embrace it, if you're willing to succumb to its very charming vibe and just go on this trip and enjoy it and make the best of it, I think the vibes are perfect. I think there's a really good game here, and it does develop into a really fun challenge. I love that there are different endings, and that made me come back for more, because I never quite got to the festival, even though I've played 2 runs. This is a really fun little indie game, so check it out if any of that sounds good to you. That's Keep Driving. Hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. If you did, then maybe you're the kind of person that would enjoy the Patreon that I run alongside the podcast and the channel. It starts at just $1 a month, and you get all kinds of things. You get behind the scenes blog posts about how I make the videos, how I make the podcast. You get bonus podcasts that are like music shows or shows about travel, shows about literature, shows about things other than video games, and those are for patrons only. You also get an invite to our patron-only Discord server, which is just an absolutely invaluable little community to me. I'm there every day, and with social media going up in flames phones around us. I think we need nice, comfortable places to talk about games on the internet. There are all kinds of activities there too, like people sharing their Wordle, Guess the Game, Fantasy Critic scores, and we'll be doing a community playthrough of the very classic game Kentucky Route Zero this month to celebrate the 5th anniversary of this podcast and channel. So there's never been a better time to hop on. It's patreon.com/gaminginthewild if any of that sounds good to you. And of course, likes, comments, subscribes, shares, all of that helps the channel as well. So thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you on the next one.